Hey, what's up guys? My name is Spartan, and in today's video, this is actually going to be a different kind of video. We are going to be doing an ultimate weapon tier list. So I've got all 9 of the ultimate weapons here, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to just mix it up a little bit and do a tier list, more or less just kind of going over my personal thoughts for each ultimate weapon, as well as sort of taking some notes from people, in the Discord server, in the main tower Discord server, just overall, what are we thinking that the best ultimate weapons are? So there are 5 classifications here. There's S tier, which is the best, A tier, all the way down to D tier, which is basically just going to be like, not the best. The way that I am personally going to be doing this list is going to be based on a couple different things. First is going to be overall utility. So how many different parts of the game is this ultimate weapon applicable? How effective are the overall strengths of the ultimate weapon, whether it be through econ, damage, whatever it is. I'm also going to be sort of rating them on how easy they are to pretty much get in a useful state, because some ultimate weapons you can definitely get in a quote-unquote useful state for a lot cheaper than others. So that will also kind of factor into my list here. And this is mostly going to be catered to like those newer players who are maybe trying to figure out, hey, what ultimate weapon should I choose for my first, second, third, etc. So just keep in mind, as I'm going through this list and kind of talking about each ultimate weapon, that is kind of utmost what's inside of my mind, is sort of trying to put something together that can maybe help out those newer players. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the first one here. So the first one is going to be Spotlight. So I don't know where we really want to put this, but Spotlight is a pretty good ultimate weapon. It provides a coin bonus, it gives you a damage amplifier, and I'm not entirely sure what the ultimate weapon pluses do, so I'm not going to be factoring those into this list because I simply just don't really know. I'm not going to lie and be like, yeah, Spotlight Plus is freaking awesome, because I have no idea what it does whatsoever. But base Spotlight is a pretty useful ultimate weapon across the board. It's useful for farming because obviously the coin multiplier, and it gets progressively better the more quantity you have, the more angle you have, etc. I would say it's relatively low expense wise to get your angle at a decent spot and to get up to 3 quantity. So with that, I think we're going to give Spotlight an A tier. I think that might be our first A tier right here. This sort of, like I mentioned, the overall application of this ultimate weapon, it's great in tournaments. I've definitely discovered that as I've entered into Legends League. It is great for farming. It makes up right now for me maybe about 10% of my overall coin income during a farming run. So overall across the board, Spotlight is a pretty good ultimate weapon. Let's talk about Black Hole. Wow, this is a pretty fun one, I'm not even gonna lie. So Black Hole covers another box that Spotlight necessarily doesn't, and that is going to be crowd control. So you start with just one. I will say that the labs are a little bit hefty, especially early on to kind of develop, but you can have up to 2 black holes going at the same time, and you can get coins from the black holes. There is a lab you can upgrade that actually does damage to the enemies that are inside of your black hole. You can also disable the ranged enemies so that if they are in your black hole, they no longer shoot you. So that is pretty cool. This is a tough one. Black hole is another one of those that are pretty overall usable both in tournaments and farming. Obviously, Black Hole with the coin bonus lab fully maxed is a pretty big contributor, right? Probably underneath Golden Tower. So I think I'm actually going to change this up a little bit. I think I'm going to put Black Hole in A, and I'm going to drop down Spotlight to B. And the reason for that is, I would say in terms of like econ, Black Hole is a little bit better, especially when you get some development in the size and the duration. Black Hole basically offers one thing specifically that Spotlight does not. and that is crowd control. And crowd control, as I am discovering, like I mentioned in Legends League, is very, very important. So I'm going to give Black Hole an A rating for the time being. We'll see if that sort of changes. Let's go ahead and talk about Poison Swamp now. I'm not going to lie, I know very little about Poison Swamp. But from my understanding, it is actually very, very good. I spoke with Crowbar Zero, and he said that his Poison Swamp, at the level that it's at, upgraded wise, it does almost as much, if not a little bit more damage than his Smart Missiles. So that's a very interesting sort of thing there. I will say, I think, it doesn't offer anything in terms of econ, sure. That's something to consider, but it does have the Swamp Slow and the Swamp Stun chance. So that is something that is pretty interesting as well in terms of like the crowd control stuff that we just touched on. So in terms of the labs and the stone investment that it takes to really make this ultimate weapon shine, I think that's a pretty big consideration. And because of that, I think we're going to give Swamp a C tier. And that's because of some of the different factors that we just touched on, like mostly the investment required to make it useful. It is a great ultimate weapon, don't get me wrong, but from my understanding, it just takes a lot of investment to really make effective. So we're going to give it a C tier for the time being. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for. Golden Tower. Where are we putting this bad boy? Other tier lists might put it up here in S tier. And that would definitely be the case if your only metric is going to be econ. But that is not the only metric for how we are rating these ultimate weapons. So obviously, in terms of econ ultimate weapons, Golden Tower is bar none. Especially when you do unlock Golden Combo, just starts to really go absolutely crazy. But what else does Golden Tower offer to the table outside of that? Not really much. So this is basically a dedicated, exclusive econ ultimate weapon. Still, super, super valuable. But in terms of the lack of overall things that this offers, I mean, you get the cash bonus, and that's valuable. You can upgrade things during your run if you're doing like a tournament run. But in terms of like actually getting damage, providing crowd control, any kind of utility whatsoever, not super great. And I will also add the investment in stones and labs for Golden Tower. It can be a little bit pricey, mostly on the stones front. The labs are not too terrible, but the stones can get pretty expensive pretty quick. I think we're gonna give Golden Tower a B tier, right next to Spotlight. And again, that is just for the overall sort of lack of what it does. All it does is gives you econ. There are some people that are like die hard. If you don't get Golden Tower as your first ultimate weapon, literally restart the game. I don't really agree with that. I think it's a great ultimate weapon, don't get me wrong. It does provide so much econ and probably is the best in the game. But in terms of what overall it offers, it's very small in the grand scheme of things. Deathwave. Wow, where are we going to put Deathwave? Oh boy. So Deathwave is an interesting one. It provides several different things. But it also does have a pretty hefty investment in terms of stones and labs. So let's just go through what Deathwave actually offers to the table here. Right out the gate, you get a 5 times health multiplier that stacks up when you kill enemies that are tagged by the Deathwave waves. Also gives you a coin bonus. There's a coin bonus lab that you can upgrade, and that obviously is good. There's also a cells bonus lab, which is the only ultimate weapon in the game that also provides cell income. That's really good, because labs take pretty much the longest time in this game to really upgrade. Also, just the damage. Like right now, my farming strategy that I'm running is basically a Deathwave damage Orbless Devo strategy, where Deathwave is like my primary damage dealer. Guys, hear me out. and I've talked to a couple of you guys in the Discord about this. I've made my case, and I'm going to make it right here, right now on YouTube. I think Deathwave is one of the best ultimate weapons in the game. I said it. It checks all the boxes. You get damage. You get EHP. You get cells. And you get coins. There's some other stuff as well that you can get, like there is basically a lab that you can also get that will hurt the armor of the enemies. So there's just so much that Deathwave brings to the table, and I think it is a very good ultimate weapon. So I'm going to give Deathwave, it's going to be our first S tier, guys. That's it. I mean, it is what it is. I believe I got Deathwave as my second or third ultimate weapon. And at the time, I didn't really think it was that good. But now that I have actually put some good investment into it, I have seen the true power and potential of Deathwave. And let me tell you, it's pretty dang good. So Deathwave is 100% getting an S tier. Now, this is an interesting one. Let's talk about inner landmines. Inner landmines basically give you two things. They give you damage, and they give you crowd control through the inner landmine stun lab. Both are really good. There's also a rotation lab that when you get it maxed, it can basically spin around, and you know, all of your mines can basically permanently stun the boss until the mines basically die, all of them. So very, very good for tournaments, I've heard. Interesting. Obviously, it does not have a lot of econ, so that's something to consider. Perhaps not great for farming. Mostly a tournament ultimate weapon. There's a couple modules that make it better. Space Displacer, Magnetic Hook. I think we're going to give Inner Landmine, I think we're going to give it a D tier. So, first and foremost, let me preface. Inner Landmines is a great crowd control tool. It's relatively inexpensive to get to an effective state. Basically, all that you really need to be able to take it into tournaments and it do something is a few levels into the rotation lab, and obviously you need to unlock the inner landmine stun lab. But in terms of stones, you need like 650 plus or minus stones to really get your quantity where you want it, and then you want to just reduce the cooldown. So you can get it in a pretty useful state for decently inexpensive. However, in terms of what it brings to the table, it really is only good at one thing. In my opinion, hear me out, it's really just a crowd control tool for, you know, bosses, fast enemies, anything that's trying to tickle your tower. It's, other than that, I mean, sure, I'm sure it does outrageous damage when you level it up, but like where I'm currently at and where a lot of you guys are going to be at, the main thing you're going to be wanting this ultimate weapon for is the rotation and the stun. Outside of that, probably not going to really use it for much, which is why I'm going to be giving it a D tier. Let's talk about old Chain Lightning here. This ultimate weapon, similar to Golden Tower, could be given an S tier rating, just based on the fact that it is really, really good at what it does. But it really doesn't do much outside of the damage. Like, yes, you have in tier 16, whenever you get to wave 60, you unlock a lab that basically melts the scatter enemies, melts them like butter. It's beautiful. But outside of just the raw amount of damage that you get, it really does not bring too much to the table. It doesn't necessarily require a lot in terms of the labs to really make effective, but it is definitely 10 times more useful if you have the Dimension Core module. And I think because it's in a lot of ways dependent on the Dimension Core, as well as how much investment you have with stones, and considering the lack of really utility or anything else it has outside of damage, I think we're gonna give Chain Lightning a C tier, right next to Poison Swamp. And next on the list is going to be old Chrono Field. So Chrono Field, this is interesting. It has not really been too bad in terms of stone income to really make effective. I already almost have mine permanent with basically 5 stone packs, and that's not too outrageous. I will say, the labs for Chrono are absolutely freaking excruciating. Like, it is terrible. In particular, the duration lab. In order to get this ultimate weapon to permanent, which I've heard you need around 60 seconds for the duration, with like a mythic or ancestral galaxy compressor, with a duration or cooldown sub effect on the modules. But that's a lot. That's a lot to consider. In terms of what it does, it's great. It slows the enemies, and I believe you can get all the way up to like an 85 or 95% slow. So that is absolutely crazy. But to actually get it there takes so much investment. It also has a damage reduction lab that reduces the amount of incoming damage. And it starts once you literally unlock it at 10%. So that's not bad either. This can definitely be used in farming runs or tournament runs, but I've heard that it's mostly useful in like Legends League tournaments where, you know, you really need to slow the bosses as much as possible. I think we're gonna give Chrono an A tier. Hear me out. You can use it in multiple places. It does multiple things. Slows the enemies, reduces their damage, allows your tower more time to actually kill them. So it checks off the utility box, definitely. The stone investment is quite bad. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Chrono, especially when you get like the Ultimate Weapon Plus, the toilet bowl, as we say. It's the official name of Chrono Plus. It's the toilet bowl. It spins the enemies around and they slowly get close to your tower. But by the time they've swirled halfway around your tower, they're already dead, so it doesn't even matter. I think we're leaving it there. And last but not least, we've got smart missiles. Where are we putting smart missiles, guys? So smart missiles, pretty dang good source of damage. You have the Amplify labs, you have the Radius labs, pretty valuable stuff. There's quite a bit of investment, both in labs and stones, to make this one effective, kind of similar to some of the other ones we've talked about. But smart missiles can 100% be used both in farming through like a smart missile orbless devo strategy. You can also use them in tournaments. Very good damage source for tournaments. I would put them with Chain Lightning, but because you can also use them in variations of devo strategies and just farming in general, I think I'm going to put them in B tier. Lots of stone investment to get them really effective. Quite a bit of lab time, not super outrageous, but it's a little bit. But you can use them reliably to farm, and you can use them reliably as a damage source for milestone pushes, for tournament runs, etc. So I think smart missiles are a pretty well-balanced damage ultimate weapon. We're gonna leave it there. Guys, this is the list. This is my little tier list here. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys disagree with me, let me know your reasons. Like, if you think Deathwave freaking sucks, it's trash, it should be D tier, like, let me know why. Let me know what you guys think. But again, the metrics that we sort of went off for this particular list was mostly investment and overall utility of the ultimate weapon. Like, not utility, but application. So what does it bring to the table? Damage, econ, some form of crowd control, etc. That's the first thing. Then considering the overall investment, both in stones and labs. Yeah, that's about it, guys. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to do all the YouTube stuff. It does help me out a lot with the algorithm and getting these videos seen. So I'd appreciate it if you would leave a little comment, leave a little like on the video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you would like to actually reach out to me directly, feel free to join our community Discord server. We're getting close to 700 people in there, and it's been a pretty cool experience just kind of growing this community that we're all building. talking to you guys. There's a lot of brand new people that have joined and have been like talking to me about, hey, I'm like 2 weeks into this game. How do I play? And it's been like so cool talking to you guys on voice chat, seeing some of the memes that you guys make, answering your guys' questions about the game. It's been a very rewarding experience. So I'm grateful to you guys for that. But if you would like to join the server and you're not already in there, feel free to check out the description down below. It will be somewhere towards the bottom. And one last thing, I haven't really done this in a while, so forgive me, but it takes a lot of effort and energy to make this content and also, you know, help you guys out with the Discord and also do a full-time job and family stuff and yada, yada, yada. So maybe consider supporting my channel financially. You can do that in right now 2 ways. First and foremost, YouTube memberships. Basically think of it as like a Patreon thing. Hey, thanks for making videos. I'm gonna choose to join one of your memberships. And the second way is simply to just keep coming back, keep watching the videos, and I mean, even every little comment does help with like pushing out the videos to new people. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, but I do appreciate you guys a lot. It's been really cool doing this YouTube stuff. So that's gonna conclude today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and like always, I will see you guys later.